There's a well known saying attributed to Benjamin Franklin about how nothing is certain in life except death and taxes. I'm starting to think we can add one more thing: Donald Trump's third term. In an exclusive interview with NBC News, Donald Trump did not rule out the possibility of seeking a third term in the White House, saying that there were methods for doing so and clarifying that he was not joking. According to the article, Trump said that others are encouraging him to do so. A lot of people want me to do it, Trump said in a Sunday morning phone call with NBC News, referring to his allies. But I basically tell them we have a long way to go, it's very early in the administration. When asked whether he wanted another term, the president responded, "I like working." "I'm not joking," Trump said when asked to clarify, "but I'm not. It is far too early to think about it." NBC News asked about a possible scenario in which Vice President JD Vance would run for office and then pass the role to Trump. Trump responded that that's one method, but there are others too, Trump added. Asked to share another method, Trump simply responded no. Now, most of us know about how Trump has joked about running for a third term quite often, or at least it's a joke to some people who defend him, but the truth is that he's very serious about this. He has every intention of staying in the White House. Another important factor is that he has people surrounding him who keep telling him what a wonderful idea it is, who are probably saying to him, "Sir, the nation needs you to save it." And we all know how Trump's ego would lap that up. His comment about other methods to get him his third term is fascinating because amending the Constitution to abolish the two-term limit would be quite difficult. It would require either a two-thirds vote of Congress or two-thirds of the states agreeing to call a constitutional convention to propose changes. Either way would then require ratification from three-quarters of the states. Although certainly difficult, it's not impossible. For example, right now it's obvious how the Democrats are in complete disarray. There is simply no one person who is the face of the party, and they have no idea who could possibly stand up to the GOP in 2028. However, what if the Democrats started realizing that abolishing the 22nd Amendment would actually allow someone to run who is absolutely revered in the party? Perhaps the only one who could end the nightmare of Donald Trump, Barack Obama. Imagine a scenario where Democrats got on board with this idea because they want Obama to seek a third term. In that case, the sheer craziness surrounding a potential Trump versus Obama election in 2028 would be out of this world. But for a moment, let's talk about Trump running for a third term from a biblical perspective, because Daniel 7:25 does mention how the Antichrist will seek to change times and laws, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. Now, I should point out that many understand this as a reference to religious feast and possibly related to when the Antichrist enters the third temple. However, it could easily have multiple meanings, such as how he ascends to world power. Trump winning a third term would be the next step in his elevation to the eighth and final king of Revelation. It would allow him to continue to remake not only America, but the entire world in his own image. Interestingly, one of the groups that partnered in Project 2025, the American Conservative, has proposed that the 22nd Amendment be repealed. And although Trump denied having anything to do with Project 2025, it sure is strange how so many of his executive orders seem to mirror it. Now, as I mentioned a few moments ago, eliminating the 22nd Amendment would also allow Barack Obama to run for a third term, so there could be Democrats who might get on board with that idea. Admittedly, that possibility is a bit far-fetched, One reason is that any proposed change to the 22nd Amendment would include language that prohibits the president from seeking a third term if they already serve 2 consecutive terms, language that would be aimed specifically at Barack Obama. In fact, Tennessee Representative Andy Ogles introduced a House Joint Resolution on January 23rd that would allow Trump to serve a third term, according to the representative's press release. The resolution would amend the 22nd Amendment, which limits presidents to 2 terms. But the resolution includes language excluding presidents who served consecutive terms from being elected a third time. That rules out Obama, as well as Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. But it's Obama that the GOP would most want to block. Back in January, though, Politico magazine ran an article with the headline, "How Trump Could Snatch a Third Term Despite the 22nd Amendment," and it outlined 4 ways Trump could stay in power beyond 2028. According to the magazine, he could generate a movement to repeal the 22nd Amendment directly. He could exploit a little noticed loophole in the amendment that might allow him to run for vice president and then immediately ascend back to the presidency. He could run for president again on the bet that a pliant Supreme Court won't stop him. Or he could simply refuse to leave and put a formal end to America's democratic experiment. It's that second possibility that was brought up in the NBC interview, to which Trump replied that it was one option. In that scenario, JD Vance would headline the ticket with Trump as the vice president. Vance wins, but then immediately resigns, thus elevating Trump. For right now, this is all basically speculation. But the combination of everything being so crazy under Trump, his willingness to govern by executive order, and his obvious desire to stay in the White House, we just can't rule anything out. And in a strange way, it would also make a lot of sense that the Antichrist would enter the third temple during his third term, especially as some say he would be the third and final Antichrist. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.